Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Okay, before we even get into this video, this vlog, let's do a little time and weather check, shall we? I don't know why this is such a funny thing. Years ago, I started my vlog and I'd be like, it's a cold evening in Indianapolis. It's 56 degrees and it is 12:01 a.m. People would say I sounded like a pilot. But so many of you are guessing like what time it is and what the temperature is and things like that. So you want to guess? Okay, pause the video. Write down your guess for the time and the temperature right now. I just checked before I came out here. So before I came out here, I looked at because my phone is inside. I'm uploading my drama video on my phone. I looked at the clock on the microwave and it was 5:54, which means probably by now it's like 5:55. And I Google searched the temperature in Indianapolis and it is 75 degrees, which I have to actually tell you, it feels a lot warmer than 75 degrees. I would have guessed probably just from sitting out here, I would have guessed it was like 81 or 82. It's so nice today in Indianapolis. My neighbor is across the street. He is grilling for the first time in a long time. He just came out here and he's grilling. I think they're having hamburgers. It looks like he's got on his plate. He's scraping his grill right now. It is so beautiful. There's some clouds in the sky, but here I'll show you a little bit of what it looks like in Indianapolis. I don't know. You can see sometimes it takes the camera a second to kind of, is it coming? There you go. You can see it a little bit. The sky is so beautiful in Indianapolis today. So my camera has been acting up all day today. I filmed videos in my bedroom earlier. And I did this whole booktube video. It's 15 minutes long. It was an Audible haul. And so without my reading glasses, I can't really see the camera. But I'm right now I'm a foot away from it. And so I can kind of see there's a square around it. And that usually focuses it. But when I'm sitting on the bed, I can't really see the square as much. The square goes it's right here on my face. And so usually that part is really focused. But when I'm sitting in the bed, I can't see it. But when I was doing the booktube video, I kept on feeling like it was out of focus. And I was like, what is going on? I feel like this is out of focus or something. And, but anyway, I couldn't figure it out. And then when I was putting it together, rendering it to, so I could upload it, the whole thing is out of focus, the whole video. I mean, it's not horribly out of focus, but it's enough that it's not the most enjoyable video in the world. So, I have my new t-shirt on today. Cult leader of the vlog over here, the granny pack. I think that's kind of cute. I think we should lean into that, don't you think? I'm kind of I said this in my drama video of mine a couple days ago or last week sometime, that, I've gone through these eras in my life, like Taylor Swift, where I've gone through these, being a doormat era, never standing up for myself. And then I went through this era where I was, standing up for myself to the point where it was, too much. But I needed to. I needed to go through that, right? And then I came out of that to where I just was standing up for myself. And now I'm kind of in this, in this era of embracing things, right? And so when people make fun of me and they say that the people that watch my videos, they refer to them as the granny pack because they think that everybody that watches my videos is 78 to 98 years old, which if that were the case, I would live for that too. Obviously, that's the average age of my neighbors and I love all my neighbors. And that cracks me up so much because it's so funny when I say that, or the granny panties, but now it's the granny pack, I guess. And so when they call the people that watch my videos the granny pack, so many people will comment on the vlog and they'll be like, well, I'm 24 years old or I'm 31 years old and I watch your vlogs and I, whatever. But I think we should embrace it, I think we should embrace it. I think we should embrace the idea of grandmothers that, love to be cozy and, garden and have their front porches be nice. I think we should just embrace that and be the granny pack. I live for that all day long. I love for the fact that they call it the granny pack. So I'm just going to embrace that from now on. I mean, I'm 51 years old. I could be somebody's grandfather. I said that on my drama channel today. I said, instead of calling me the dad of YouTube or the uncle of YouTube, let's just refer to me as the granddad of YouTube from now on, I mean, I could be somebody's, grandfather easily. I mean, I have friends of mine that are grandparents. And love it, and love being grandparents. So I don't know why that's an insult. I think that's so funny. I mean, it's really ageist, honestly, when you want to talk about I mean, it doesn't really surprise me where it comes from because the group that it comes from is extremely transphobic, homophobic, racist, and bigoted. So the fact that they're ageist too shouldn't surprise me in the least. But it's very ageist, right? To like, but at the same point, you know, it's like I kind of want to just like step into that, embrace that. So we'll just embrace the granny pack over here, right? So anyway, I have not, so I'm going to like film for about 30 minutes and then I'm going to go inside and check my phone because at that point it'll be like 6:25, and if I'm going to go to the meeting tonight, I have to get ready, start getting ready between 6:30 and 6:40. I've called Tanya earlier today. I called her late last night. She had probably gone to sleep already. I don't know if she's having like a really busy day or not, but I haven't heard anything from her last night or today. So my guess is that she got too busy to go to the meeting tonight. And she'll probably like call me here like 7 or 8 and be like, yeah, I got too busy today, I'm sorry. So we'll go later in the week. But if I go inside and check my phone and she was like, are you still up for the meeting tonight? Then I'm going to end the vlog. Like I'll come back and end the vlog and be like, yeah, I'm going to go to the meeting tonight. So just kind of waiting to hear from her at this point. Alex got home about half an hour ago and he is ordering food from Thai Sushi House. And he asked me, he was like, do you want anything? And I was like, babe, I told you not to ask me. He was like, I know, but I feel bad not asking you. And he was like, because like there might be the one night. I go, I appreciate it. I really do. If you need to keep on asking me, I can tell you no. Like that's not a problem for me. And he's like, okay. He's like, so you don't want anything? I was like, no, I'm good. I don't need anything tonight. He was like, okay. So he is like really, he said, I am so hungry. I'm getting some food. I'm going to watch some TV and then I'm just going to relax for the rest of the night. So since I'm not going to the meeting tonight, I don't know what I'm going to do. I might sit out here and read for a little bit. Last night, well, it was pouring down rain, but last night, yeah, it rained off and on all through the night. Boo Radley slept the entire night until like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I was like finishing up watching The Walking Dead and I could hear his little feet. He like came downstairs and so he had to go outside and go potty. He was so sweet. And he was like prancing around outside. It had stopped raining at that point. You could tell he was kind of like proud of his like haircut and stuff like that. And and then I took him inside and I got him some treats and took him up back to bed and he went right back to sleep. He went right back to sleep. I was kind of surprised. I had a hard time falling asleep last night. Last night I really struggled falling asleep. I think I went to bed, if I took him out around, it was around 5-ish when I took him out. So I probably got into bed about 5:15, 5:20. And when Alex left for work, I looked at the clock and I think it was like 7:51. And I was like still like up and like I would fall asleep for a couple minutes and wake up. And I just was really, really struggling. What's so interesting about it is that, so if I went to bed, let's say like 8, like if I finally fell asleep by like 8:15, 8:30 or something like that, I really only got like 4.5 hours of sleep. I mean, I got up at like 1. I only got like 4.5 hours of sleep, and I feel really rested, which is crazy. When I take the medicine, oh my god, I wanted to tell you guys about some dream I had last night. I feel like remnants of it are coming to me. I had the most bizarre dream last night. Oh, it had something to do with a mall, and now I remember why. I was in a mall. It was like very much like Dawn of the Dead. Well, because I'm watching Walking Dead, so there was like, we were like being like hunted, but we were like living in this mall, and I think it was because, so last night, Alex and I, we watched Loot, and a part of this episode, this last week's episode from Loot, was about a mall. I don't want to ruin it for anybody if they watch it, but she goes to a mall, and so, and then she talks about like Claire's Boutique and like Cinnabon and stuff like that. I think that might have been why I dreamed that. Plus, I've been thinking about watching Dawn of the Dead again because I love the movie. I love the original and the remake, but I actually love the original more, of Dawn of the Dead that takes place in the mall. They go live in the mall. Any movie that takes place where they like stay in a mall, like Night of the Comet, I loved as well, obviously. But anyway, okay, so yeah, I struggled with falling asleep last night, but I woke up today and I like, at first when I got up, I was like real kind of groggy and whatever, and then I was like, come on, Borelli, let's go outside. And I took him outside, and he ran around and stuff, and then like I made some coffee and did my prayers and meditations and all that kind of stuff, and I was like up, like I was awake. It's so weird. I will say this though. Last night I took a nap. When I take a nap now, I fall like asleep. I mean, I've always like slept better during my naps than I have like at night sleeping. So last night, Alex and I watched them out of order last night because he was like, what do you want to watch? In what order? So we watched Vanderpump Villas first, Loving that show. I mean, it's completely cheesy reality TV, but I love it. So we watched Vanderpump Villas first, and then we watched Loot. So we got, Vanderpump Villa just came out, but Loot we were catching up on, and then we watched the series finale of American Horror Story Delicate. I don't even understand the end of it, I'll be honest with you. Like, I watched it last night. I was, like, literally watching it, and at one point, it's, like, at the very end. It's, like, literally the last scene. I said, I'm so confused at what just happened. And Alex goes, were you watching it? And I go, yeah, I was literally staring at the TV just watching it. I don't understand. They were, like, chanting and whatever. And I go, why did what happened happen? And he goes, because they were chanting. I go, I don't understand it. Like, what? Like, literally, they have gone in and explained every detail of everything for, like, I mean, I think that the series is like 10 or 12 episodes. They've gone in and explained every detail of everything. The show is so bad. It's so boring. And then, like, the last episode, they, like, rush it. And all this stuff happens in the last episode, and none of it makes any sense. It was really bad. Like, I seriously was watching this last night, and I was like, I feel like Ryan Murphy has lost it. Like, Ryan Murphy, American Horror Story, used to be so fantastic. And it would always come to, like, some, like, final conclusion that made a lot of sense. Like, American Horror Story Delicate made no sense at all. The whole show didn't make sense. The end of it didn't make sense. It's like, it's so based off of Rosemary's Baby. There's even a scene in it where it goes back in time, and, like, Mia Farrow is in the show playing Rosemary's Baby. It's like they even reference Rosemary's Baby in the show, but the whole thing is just Rosemary's Baby. It's like a newer version of it. But it's based on this novel called Delicate that came out a couple years ago. It's bad. It was really bad. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. And I don't usually say that about shows. Actually, I was looking up a lot of shows last night. Somebody recommended to me this series. I thought it was new, but it came out a couple years ago, like 2022. And it was called... It's about a girl that gets bullied, and then, like, she becomes a teacher or something, and then, like, tries to take vengeance. And somebody asked me, maybe it was in a Q&A that they asked me, or maybe it was on my Peter Watches TV channel. They said they wanted to see what I thought of that series, having been bullied myself. I think they said, have you been bullied? And if you have, like, what did you think about this series? You know, it's interesting when people ask me that. It's like, I mean, I definitely feel differently about it now than I did 20 years ago. And maybe it's just my experience of being able to talk to the people that bullied me, several of them. And also that I mean, it wasn't just one, it was numerous people that made genuinely authentic apologies to me. Like, really, not just apologies like I'm sorry off the cuff, but, like, really took ownership for it and said to me things like, I know I did this, and this, and I am so sorry about it. The one that was the worst was because I was just a constant joke to them every day. That was the worst. This is where when people say, well, you can't really define bullying that way. Well, when you show up to school every single day and you're made to be a joke to hundreds of people, that is absolutely, it's diminishing is what it is. It's diminishing to your self-concept and how you feel about yourself, and you keep asking yourself, am I a joke? Am I, you know, whatever. And so it absolutely 100% is bullying. But the person that did the joking stuff to me, he's probably the one that I like the closest with today and have no issues with at all. I mean, I don't have issues with any of them today, you know, but, like, interestingly enough, the one person, and nobody knows who this is except for that person, so it's whatever for me to say it. And I don't really know a lot about what they're doing today. Interestingly enough, like, they weren't on social media, and then, like, I don't know, a while ago, they, like, friend requested me, and I just acted like I didn't see it. I just ignored it. But they, the one that was, like, so there's parts of the bullying story that I've never really told. I've hinted at and stuff like that, but it got kind of really scary about some things of, well, I don't really want to get into it today. I mean, that might be a whole video that I make at some point. I think part of the reason why I haven't really ever told that whole story of it was because it was the scariest. It was, like, kind of done behind the scenes. Like, he was part of that whole group, but nobody really knew that he was, like, following me to my house, threatening me, things like that. And I think very much that person was probably, you know, like one of the things in recovery, you know, it's kind of like the prayer for the sick man that I learned a couple years ago. It's like you have to see that person as a sick person. Well, not just as a sick person, that maybe they're going through their own stuff. And I try to really understand somebody from that point of view. You know, like Atticus Finch and To Kill a Mockingbird, like, you don't really understand somebody until you walk around on their front porch in their shoes for a while, you know? I think 20 years of my attitude towards him was a lot different. I'm also like so far removed from it at this point. But I think that he probably had a lot of his own struggles too. And didn't know how to deal with them, and maybe he still does. I don't know. You know, I have emails and everything open that person wanted to contact me, they could totally contact me. If they did, and they were like, hey, like, I'm really sorry for these things, yada, 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 like, I would like to talk to you about it, I would be completely open to hearing that. I've been open to hearing it from everybody else. I'm not really the person today that wants to seek vengeance on somebody that is bullying me or anything like that, or has in my past, as long as they're willing to take ownership for it. I'm not going to just, like, I don't need to, like, you know, it's interesting because anybody that gave me a hard time, like, on a serious level, like when I was, like, in high school, junior high, whatever, elementary school, I feel like every one of those people, with the exception of that one guy, and like I said, I think he had his own struggles, every one of those people has come to me, like if I've seen them somewhere, right? Like my high school reunion, or they've messaged me on Facebook years ago, you know, or I'll see them. I've seen a couple of them, you know, like, anyway, I've seen a couple of them, and they'll come up to me and they'll be like, hey, it's so good to see you, and I'll be like, oh, it's good to see you too, you know, and I'm sitting there in my head thinking like, yeah, like, the last time I saw you, like, you were, you know, whatever, and they'll say, you know what, like, I just want you to know, like, I've thought a lot about, like, how I treated you in high school. I mean, I feel like every one of them has done that to me. Like, not just, like, I'm sorry for how it was for you in high school, but, like, I'm really sorry for how I talked to you in high school, you know? And how I spoke about you, and I'm sure I made your life a living hell, and I have kids today, too. They always say that I have kids today, too, and I would never want them to go through what you went through, and I know I was part of that. Like, they take full acknowledgement for it, and these aren't just people that, like, are in recovery. I mean, these are people that are just, like, don't have a program or that language, and they take full responsibility for it. It's why I think I struggle so much with people in the real world being able to take accountability for things when I've had it, like, witnessed and shown to me by these people, you know? I think the other thing that I know, too, is that, and I think that talking to the guy that bullied me, who I consider a friend today, I mean, he's a friend of mine today, the guy that bullied me the most, which is so crazy when I say that out loud, like, I never thought that he would be, like, a good friend of mine, you know, and he is, he's a good friend of mine today, and, I think, like, from hearing his story, without getting into too much of his story, he's actually said he would do a video with me before. Like, that was a while ago. But he was like, yeah, if you ever want to do a video and we talk about, like, how I bullied you in high school and what the reasons were for and why I picked you and whatever, and talk about, like, how we came together and we resolved all this, I was like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't really, to be honest with you, and this is going to sound so crazy, I was kind of protective of him, and I really didn't want to put him on full blast for that. More for his kids, in all honesty, you know? And he's not that person today, and I don't know that I think that he deserves to be identified forever as that person. But I think in, like, talking to him, what he really helped me learn was, okay, I feel differently about this than if I were currently, like, in high school being bullied. I think I would, Peter talking to myself, me talking to Peter when he was in high school, if he was still there, I would say, stand up for yourself. You have nothing to lose. It can't get much worse than it is already. So if you stand up for yourself, at least you got your integrity. I think that I gave away my integrity. I gave away my pride by never standing up for myself because I was afraid, you know, because that's the one thing they instill is fear. I wish I would have stood up for myself. I wish I would have at least fought back a little bit, made some snarky comments. I didn't really get that, though, until I was, like, out, you know, and that's why I say I was raised by, you know, these drag queens and stuff that taught me how to be that, you know, taught me how to, like, read somebody back and be shady and whatever. I would have been that today. I actually think had I been that at the first couple times, it probably would have been like, y'all beat your ass. And then I think after that, it kind of probably would have been this funny rapport, you know, at some point. I don't know, but I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to do that. And so I allowed myself, like I talked about this in my Peterson's video today, I allowed myself to stay the doormat. I allowed myself to be walked over. I don't blame myself for that. I didn't know any other way. I didn't know how to deal with it, you know? My parents were total pacifists. They didn't believe in violence or fight. And, you know, and so I was afraid it was going to lead to some kind of fight, which I knew I would never even make it in that. Like, people would say to me, like, I'm going to beat your ass. And I'd be like, yeah, you probably will. Like, I would say that. Like, they'd be like, I'm going to meet you at 3 o'clock, I'm going to beat your ass. And I'd be like, there's no point, because you are going to beat my ass. So let's just, here, you won already, if that's what you need. They'd be like, what? You know? I think if I were talking to myself when I was 16 or 17 or 18, 16 or 17, turned 18 until after I got out of high school, I would have said, stand up for yourself. Say something back. Don't be afraid, you know? My girlfriends were doing it for me, so there's no reason why I couldn't have done it, you know? And, I think that's what I would say. I think today, you know, having talked to the guy that made my life a living hell every single day, the forgiveness wasn't really for him. It was really for me to release myself of that. You know, I love the definition of forgiveness, that forgiveness is accepting that what happened happened. Not that it was okay what happened, but accepting that it happened. You can't change it, right? And then asking yourself, what are you going to do today to release yourself so that you're no longer held hostage to those things that happened to you in your past? And I think it's such a great definition, because it's like, it happened. You can't change it. I don't want to live in it for the rest of my life. I am who I am today because I went through it, right? But do I want to stay angry and resentful with this person forever? No. Do I want to understand why he did what he did? Yeah, because it's a part of my life. It's not just like, oh, I was bullied. I mean, it's like when people say that, it's like they dismiss it because everybody says it anymore, right? Well, maybe it's happening to a lot of people, and that's why everybody's saying it, you know? If we talked about it more and what was really going on, maybe we would get to the bottom of these things, you know? But the forgiving him was really more for me than it was for him, because I didn't want to stay stuck in it anymore. And I did for a long time, you know? And then when I sat down and I talked to him and he told me like what his life looked like at that time, no, it didn't excuse it. It didn't excuse that I got picked out of the crowd to be the one that made his life a little bit easier, and that he was the court jester and stuff like that when he went to school, you know, during the day, and he got some laughs because life was such hell for him at home. Life was hell for me at home too. I had an alcoholic mother. You know, I mean, give me a break, right? It didn't make excuses for it, but it helped me understand it. And I don't have to understand I don't have to excuse something to understand it. Understanding sometimes, to me, is the path to enlightenment, the path to forgiveness, the path to letting go. It's just to understand it. And some things you will never understand, you know, but when he told me his story, I did understand it. You know, it's very similar to the guy that I saw in high school that saw him at the casino years ago, you know, and like, he wasn't one of my bullies, but he was very like athletic football player in high school. And, you know, I remember he said something to me about, we were talking about high school, and I said, do you have any idea what a living hell it was for me? And he goes, do you have any idea what a living hell it was for me? And here we are, two adult men standing there talking to each other. And I'm like, and he was like, you know, I was constantly like expected this, and these expectations were put on me, and I had to get straight A's, and I had to do this. And I thought, okay, I probably would take those high expectations over what I went through every day. But on the same level, like, I've had friends of mine, even to adulthood, whose families put high expectations on that. That's a lot too. I don't know his story. His story is completely different than mine, you know? I don't know. That was a moment in time for me too that really helped me open my eyes to, like, you don't really know somebody. You don't. We think we know somebody's story, but we don't, you know? We take our lived experience and we put it on somebody else's story. It's why I always ask people, share your experience with me. You know, why is this important to you? Why is that important to you? Because you're going to learn more from somebody's lived experience than you are from an opinion in a book online, or an opinion online or in a book, right? Like, you're going to learn more from somebody's shared experience. Maybe that shared experience isn't a book. Maybe that's how you learn it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to learn that in a textbook. You're not going to learn that because 1,000 people are putting opinions online fighting for each other to get the most viral views or likes. You're not. sitting down with somebody and being open-minded and having that conversation. These are why these words hurt me. This is why, you know, when this happens or that happens, like I feel a certain way or I have a response to it. Oh, I get that. That makes sense to me. As a human talking to a human, we've stopped doing that in our society. We have stopped doing that. We've stopped listening to people as well. Oh, here's one of my favorite women ever. She's listening to her AirPods. She has her head down. But she's one of my pool crew people. She didn't look over here. But I love her so much. But we've stopped doing that. We've stopped having conversations with one another. I don't know what we're afraid of. I don't know why we're not having those conversations anymore. What happened? You know? I have no idea. But we got to start having those conversations again to understand one another, understand where we're coming from, or that's not going to ever happen, you know? So no, I don't feel the same way that I did about it. I don't seek vengeance today on that. Even the people that the last couple of years, I think this is where the real disconnect is for me and why the email, I've never said who the email is from, but I think the person knows who it's from. Why the email that I was sent meant so much to me, because I think very much like the people that bullied me in my youth, I try to look at the haters, the stalkers, and the harassers in a similar way, and I try to understand where they're coming from. And I feel like if I could understand where they're coming from, then it would make sense to me and I could get it. And I got this email a while ago, and somebody said, like, and I do get that. Like, I predict things. Like, I'll say, I'm saying this in a video, and watch, they'll turn around and they'll say things, and then the very next day they say the things, right? I'm like, it's very simple-minded, honestly, right? Like, I literally said in my video, me saying this, they're going to turn around and make a video. Like, they literally do it, right? I mean, it's ridiculous to me. So I do get them partly, but they're very simple-minded, but very dangerous, of the lengths that they're willing to go to take somebody down. I don't know why they're so miserable, why they are so unhappy in their life. I'm sure they would probably look at you with a smile and be like, I'm not miserable at all, I just don't like you, I just don't like, well, okay, but then I've never met you, you don't like me because of an opinion that I have about somebody online, like, you really take it to that level, like, that's pretty scary, that you're, you know, like that, like, I think, like, the most innocent response I've ever gotten talking about this is, and responding to, like, all these lies they think I make up about, which, by the way, I just want to say that you guys talking about the limoncello, y'all know I love that limoncello, right? Okay, so when Tia wanted to call it melted crayons, which I howled, I thought that was a hilarious comment, so thank you, Tia. But I've had a couple friends in my personal life say that it tastes like melted crayons, too, or candles, I think you said. But I've had a friend that said it tastes like melted crayons. I can kind of see where you come from that, but I do love the limoncello, the LaCroix, but that was just an example yesterday for any of those of you that missed that, you know. But it's like, about, like, the line about being sober thing. It's like, you know, somebody left this comment and they said, if Peter is lying about it, like, who does that hurt? Like, so somebody out there gets inspired by a fake story of sobriety, and Peter's living in his fantasy world of thinking that he's sober. Like, who does it really hurt, you know? I mean, I am sober, let's just make that clear. But if that were the case, like, really, truly, who am I hurting? I'm not asking for any money from it. I'm not asking you to, like, send me money because I'm sober. I'm not asking you to even believe in what I believe in. I don't ask you to even pertain to my level of thinking of sobriety. I say there's many different ways to get sober out there. So what am I gaining from that? Hoping that somebody stays alive? You know, and I thought that was such an innocent response when somebody left that comment. It's like, it's comments like that that I just am like, I didn't ever even see it that way. You know, like, what, like, if I made everything up of, like, well, my neighbors don't really like me and my marriage is horrible. I mean, who cares? I'm living in my own fantasy. You know what I mean? I'm kind of at the period in my life where I'm just like, let people live in their fantasies if their fantasies aren't hurting anybody. Why do you have to go destroy that fantasy for them? I'm not, you know? But I don't understand that, you know, like, okay, so, like, you're so ate up with the fact that you think I lie about all these simple things in my life, and so there, I try to understand it. I try to understand where they're coming from, why, right? And then I got this email from somebody. It was such a kind email, and they said, you've got to stop. It was such, like, this moment, like, when Tani put her hand, when I was, like, searching for stuff about my mom, and she just said, just stop, like, you're never going to get the answers you want. And this person emailed me, and they said, the reason why you don't understand where they're coming from is because you don't think the way that they think. And you never will. You'll never understand them because you don't think the way that they think. You're a kind person. You're a good person. You try to see people's motives and try to understand them. You share your motives with people. They don't do that. They're just miserable people that are intent on this. So, like, you're never going to understand it. And I was like, my God, they're so right. Like, that makes so much sense to me, you know? And yet I still try to understand them because I think if I can see them as human and I can understand them, you know. All right, well, I'm at the 30-minute mark, so I'm going to go see if Tanya Jean has called me, and I will be back to either end the vlog or to continue. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. I was trying to wait because Alex's food is on the way, and so I was trying to wait until the food comes because he said they're almost here, and when they get here, I'm going to have to stop and get the food and take it inside. Well, I mean, he could come out here, but I'm just going to do it for him. Anyway, and I don't know if it's going to be like 2 minutes or like 10 minutes, so I was trying to do some stuff. So I started uploading my Peterisms video, and I started uploading my review video, and I posted my booktube video. It's 3 videos I made today. Yeah, and my drama video is uploaded, but I just have to do the stuff to post it. I made the thumbnail for my drama video, so that's what I've been doing. So it is currently now 6:40, so I don't know how long I was inside. I was probably inside for like 10 minutes or something like that. I don't know when his food's going to be here, but he's frustrated because I hear a car coming, but it'll be coming from that way. He's frustrated because he's like going through all these shows, and he's like, I can't find anything to watch. I just want to watch something chill. And I'm like, what do you mean by chill? And he's like, I want to watch, like, maybe like Schitt's Creek. And I was like, no. I go, because that's our show that we're watching together, so you're going to lose our place. And he goes, oh, well, I don't know what to watch. And I'm like, I think you'd really like Fallout. So he's going like through all these shows, and he's like trying to find like the perfect show to watch. And he loves like Spanish speaking shows, and so he's like going through all these Spanish speaking shows. He's trying to like, he keeps on going, oh, I can't find anything to watch. I'm like, I literally have like a list of like 50 shows that I want to watch. And I'm like, I think you should watch Fallout. I think you should watch Baby Reindeer. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? He's like, oh, that cardinal over there is beautiful. And he's like, I don't know what to watch. I can't find anything to watch. So it'll be interesting to see what he ends up watching. And then he'll end up getting into something, and he'll like, he was watching Golden Girls. He doesn't like Golden Girls. He was watching Gossip Girl last night. Are we like the only 2 gay guys that don't like Golden Girls? I don't dislike Golden Girls. So back in the day, my ex, he was obsessed with Golden Girls. So we would watch Golden Girls, but I think it was like, maybe it was on Lifetime or something. It was like Golden Girls, and then it was it was Designing Women followed by Golden Girls. And so we would watch that like every night. It was like right before we would go to bed. I feel like it was like 11 to 12 or something like that. I love Designing Women so much. Like, Designing Women was my show back in the day. I have all of like the seasons on DVD and stuff like that. I love Designing Women so much. Golden Girls, I've seen probably every episode of Golden Girls because he and I watched it all the time. He loved Golden Girls so much. And so we would watch it. We even watched, what was the spinoff of it when, I think it's with Dorothy B. Arthur and Estelle Getty that played her mom, when they opened the hotel. Is it called like the Crystal Palace or something like that? We even watched some of that. I don't remember that as well, but like every episode of Golden Girls I've seen. I liked I liked it enough to watch it. I thought it was a cute concept of, you know, the 4 women living together and cheesecake and sitting in the kitchen and whatever. It was homey. It's a homey show. But the way that like some people die for Golden Girls, like, I don't get it. I don't. And it's so funny to me when people are like, who, like, on the Golden Girls are you? And, like, which one are you? People always tell me that I'm, like, B. Arthur. I'm, like, Maud. I'm no B. Arthur. I'm probably, and then everybody wants to be, why can't I think of her name? I was probably the most, to be honest with you, kind of like not Estelle Getty. I was probably the most like Betty White, which you can probably tell, because if you watch the show, like, she tells all these stories, and she's like, well, when I was growing up, and this, wherever she was from, Minnesota or whatever, and she'd tell these stories, and then she'd go on and on and on and on about all this kind of stuff, and she, like, didn't understand stuff. She was like, that's kind of me. Like, I'm always the last person to understand a joke. I'm a storyteller. So I was probably most like Betty White in the show. Why can't Rose was her name. Rose, Blanche, Mama. That wasn't her name. What were their names? What was the other woman's name? Why can't Blanche? Rose, Blanche, Dorothy. What was Estelle Getty's name? Sophia. Who played Blanche on Golden Girls? Why can't I think of her name? Blanche, Golden Girls. Oh, it pulls it right up. Blanche Devereaux. Oh, Rue McClanahan. How could I forget her? I was like, she's 53 years old. That's how old she was supposed to be on the show, I guess. She has a daughter, Rebecca Sue Devereaux. They've all passed away, haven't they? Like, Rue McClanahan's passed away. I know she has. Yeah, she died June 3rd, 2010. Betty White passed away, like, last year. Estelle Getty, is she still alive? It was funny because I think Estelle Getty was, like, one of the youngest ones of the cast, and she played the oldest one. She passed in 2008. B. Arthur, I know she's passed. She passed a long time ago. She passed in 2009. How old was she when she passed? Okay, let's look on here and see. She was born in 1922. Estelle Getty. Oh, they were the same age. Oh, that's what was so funny about it, was that Estelle Getty played Sophia, Dorothy's mom, and she and B. Arthur were the same age. That is kind of funny. I mean, like, yeah, I didn't dislike it. I can't think of any, like, my mom loved Will and Grace back in the day. Like, I would talk to her on the phone, and I'd be like, she'd be laughing so hard. I'd be like, what are you laughing at? She'd be like, I'm watching reruns of Will and Grace. Okay, I can tell if this is the DoorDash person, because they're coming real, no, they turned into they were going real slow down the street with it. I thought it was the DoorDash person, but they turned in. Oh, this must be the person coming down here now. But my mom, I would like talk to her, and she thought Will and Grace was so funny. Alex likes Will and Grace too. I never really got into the whole Will and Grace thing. Alex was watching The Nanny the other night on TikTok, and he was like watching all these. Oh, here it is. This guy's here. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I took Alex inside his food. The guy's just like backing out of our driveway right now. He's probably the best looking DoorDash driver that we've ever had, ever in my entire life. He's like this like 30-year-old guy. He's like real cute car too, a real cute car, and he was super nice. And like he like had Alex. He was like, he handed it to me and said Alex's name, and he said, I can never say it, pronounce it right. Like from Venezuela, Venezolano or whatever. And he goes, Venezuelan? And I said, and he goes like this, like him. And I said, no, I said my husband. And he was like, oh, like that. He was really nice. But anyway, Indianapolis actually has, oh, he like went all the way down to the pool. He like drove back down there. Indianapolis, it's interesting because it's a huge Venezuelan population now. And, like Alex's mom and his brothers were like probably some of like the first like people that moved here from Venezuela way back when they did, like in that area where his mom lives. And now there's all these people, and his mom like knows everybody. Like if I ever meet anybody from Venezuela and I'm like, I say, oh, do you know, like, well, if I ask them if they know my husband, if I'm not with him, I'll be like, do you know so-and-so? We were like, where were we? We were somewhere else. We were like in Miami or something like that. And we met this guy that like worked for Telemundo, and Alex was like, oh, like my mom knows somebody and whatever. And this guy was like, who's your mom? And we like, he said her name, and he was like, oh my God, I know your mom. So he was like, how do you know my mom? Alex's mom knows like everybody that's like Venezuelan. Like she knows everybody. It's hilarious. So like in like near Miami, there's certain areas where like Venezuelans go to live. Why can't I think of what it's called now? It's called, oh shoot. I'm going to get this wrong, but somebody that lives in the Miami area will know what I'm talking about. It's like the Weston area or something like that. They call it like West Venezuela or something like that because there's like a lot of Venezuelans that live there and stuff like that. But yeah. So, he was really, really nice. So anyway, what was I talking about? Talking about TV shows. I feel like, no, what was I talking about? Oh, I was talking about Golden Girls. Oh, then I was talking about Will and Jack. I almost called it. What was it called? Will. What was that show called that I'm talking about that my mom loved so much? Damn it, I was just talking about it. Now I can't remember it. It's Will and Jack and then the roommate. That's not what the show was called, though. Will and Grace. Will and Grace. My mom loved that show so much. She thought it was so funny. She loved Karen from Will and Grace. She was like, Karen is like your Aunt Kathy. And I was like, Mom. And she was like, she is though. She's just like your Aunt Kathy. People always tell me that, like, in movies, people are either like, oh, your mom is like this person, or your Aunt Kathy was like this person, or whatever. Like, people always tell me that Moira Rose reminds them of my Aunt Kathy, Caroline's mom, which is so funny to me. She does kind of... So Moira Rose does this thing, like, where somebody will say something, and I'm trying to think of an example of it. It, like, happens in the cafe all the time, but my Aunt Kathy used to do this all the time. Like, she'll say... she'll say something like she's talking to Twyla. I'm just making this up, but she'll say, well, you don't be late to choir practice tonight. You know it's at 6. And Twyla will go, no, Moira, choir practice is at 8. And she'll say, why do you keep on correcting me? I said it was at 8. My Aunt Kathy used to do that all the time. Like, and she thought it was funny. Like, she knew, but she would say it, and like with a completely straight face, like, no, you're the one that's wrong, when she was completely wrong. And she would do that all the time. Moira Rose does that all the time. It's hilarious, but she doesn't act like she thinks it's funny in the show. But kind of stylistically, my aunt looked a little bit, like, dressed a little bit like Moira Rose, too. So, she had real fun style and dressed really nice and stuff like that. But people always say that to me. But anyway, yeah, TV shows that I've watched from back in the day. You know, it's interesting because I talked on some channel about The Conners is now on Netflix. Somebody please help me with this, because I'm so confused. Not my camera. But somebody please help me with this Conners thing. Okay. So, when The Conners first came on TV originally, Melissa and I watched it. Like, I remember watching, like, the first 2 or 3 episodes with Melissa. And I remember, I feel like it started and Roseanne was on it for, like, the first 2 or 3 episodes. And then that was when she came out and she was, like, super, super problematic, right? Part of the reason why, like, I don't understand people that gun so hard and are super fans, when I literally was, like, such a huge fan of Roseanne, and I'm just like, she's been so problematic. I mean, she's trying to clean it up a little bit now, but I mean, it's just like, you don't ignore those things, right? You're not, like, super fans to the end, you know? But she came out and she was really problematic, and so she was let go of the show. Like, Dan Goodman and everybody came out and spoke about it. And so then I remember on the show was when they didn't know what to do with her storyline, and so they decided that they would kill her off the show. Okay, when you watch The Conners from the beginning on Netflix, the first episode of the first season is when Roseanne dies. But I don't remember that originally being the first episode of The Conners. Did they, like, revamp it and start it all over? Or does anybody know that watched The Conners? I will tell you this. I got, like, 2 or 3 episodes in it, and I was like, this is so bad. I don't know how it made it 5 seasons. It is not interesting at all. It is so bad. And what's really weird about it is that, like, Roseanne, the show, has always been I mean, like, a lot of sitcoms are known for canned laughter, you know, like, when they'll tell a joke and then they have, like, the prompted laughter. It's interesting because when you watch The Conners, I don't know why I noticed this, but they'll tell a joke and then it'll be like 3 seconds and then the laughter happens. It's really weird how it happens on that show. Like, the show is, like, not edited well at all, and the laughter comes, like, and then it's like they're all kind of, like, waiting for, like, they tell a joke and it's like they all kind of stand there and look at each other. It's really, like, awkward to watch. Like, one of the things about Roseanne back in the day was that it just constantly flowed. This is not flowing. Like, it is bad, you guys. It is really, really bad. It's not enjoyable to watch at all. And it's just, I don't know. It's surprising to me that it made it 5 seasons. So did somebody know this? I mean, I guess I could Google search it and look. But did, like, after, like, Roseanne got problematic and they killed her off the show, they didn't keep those episodes? So, like, when you go in here, like, here, look, I'll show you. When you go into Netflix, hold on just a second, and pulls up Sex and the City. Another show. My husband loves that show, Sex and the City. I've never been able to get into that show. I like Sarah Jessica Parker, and I like the people on the show and stuff like that. I've just really never been able to get into it. But when you go in here to The Conners, see, here I have it, because I was, like, watching it. Oh, I'm not even on episode 3. I'm still on episode 1. But when you go in here, here it is, The Conners, okay? The very first episode is called Keep on Trucking. As the Conners struggle to come to terms with the loss of their matriarch, a shocking revelation sends Dan on a quest to find someone to blame. Oh, that was where because Roseanne dies of an opioid overdose because she's buying pills on the side. I'm going to look this up. First episode of The Conners. I want to see what it says. Because I feel like, did they just scrap those episodes? I don't feel like those were like the episode 1. What happened in the first season of Conners? It says season 1, Dan wants to find someone to blame for his wife's death. I don't know why I feel like... Look, let's look. Was Roseanne ever on the Conners? Was Roseanne ever on the Conners? Am I like remembering this wrong? The first episode of the Conners, the family dealt with the loss of Roseanne Connor. Roseanne exits the Conners and she is not happy about it. Let's read this article. Comedy series The Conners, featuring all the main characters in the blue-collar family except for its star and creator Roseanne Connor, had its premiere on ABC 5 months after Roseanne was canceled following a racist tweet by Barr. Audience had last seen Roseanne Connor hiding an opioid addiction stemming from knee pain and about to undergo long-delayed costly surgery, but her demise was a plot twist Barr was unhappy with, saying in a statement that the manner of her death lent an unnecessary grim and morbid dimension to an otherwise happy family show. So was she ever on it? Why do I feel like I remember that she was on it? ABC canceled Roseanne and Barr in May. Okay, after Barr apologized and said the tweet was political, not racist in its nature, but she agreed to step away from the show she created and have no financial or creative involvement in the Conners. So was she ever on the show? Does anybody... I guess I can't find it. Does anybody know? Well, let's look at the Conners. The missing episodes. The missing episodes. Somebody put, why is Mark not on the Conners? How sad, because he passed away of an addiction. Was Mark on it? Was he on the Conners? When did he pass away? The guy that played Mark. I'm almost positive he passed away. Am I wrong? Yeah, he passed away in 2018. Mark Healy. The other thing about the Conners that's weird when you watch it is, it doesn't go along with the last episode of Roseanne. Like, Roseanne ends and, like, she fictionalized everything. Like, she made it all up. And so, when I started watching, and to be honest with you, when Roseanne, like, that last episode of Roseanne, I almost can't even watch to this day. It still makes me so brokenhearted. Like, I still, like, cry so hard watching that. I loved that show. I love that show. It was so homey and cozy to me. And that last episode is... She goes back at the very end and she's sitting on the couch and she says that Dan died when he had the heart attack after Darlene's wedding. He died, but she couldn't come to terms with it, and so it shows her like going to the basement where they set up like for Mother's Day one year. See, I'm gonna get teary-eyed even thinking about this. It's just like the show meant so much to me back in the day. And they gave her the writer's desk in the basement, sharpened the pencils and stuff like that, and so she wrote. Because she couldn't escape, like, what happened to her, she changed the things she didn't like. And so, she never liked David with Becky, which was what really happened. So, she made David with Darlene and Mark with Becky when it was actually the other way around. And like, her sister was a lesbian and things like that. And I feel like the Conners, like, actually acts like that episode never happened, if I'm correct, right? And so, well, it would have to, because Dan's still alive. Yeah, so it doesn't even make any sense in the context of how Roseanne left off. I don't know. But has anybody watched The Connors and enjoyed it? I mean, I would watch it if anybody said that they thought it was really good. But I don't know. But I feel like I almost kind of feel like I watched an episode with her talking about like hiding pills or something like that. I don't know why. But I guess the first episode's the one that's on Netflix. I feel like they just got rid of episodes. Am I losing my mind? Why do I think that? Or did I see like a trailer and maybe that's what I'm confusing? Maybe I saw a trailer for it before it came out, and then when it came out it didn't have Roseanne on it and they had to rewrite the whole thing. Maybe that's what I'm thinking about. I don't know. I remember Melissa and I were like very upset when that whole thing happened. I was like, Roseanne, you are a mess. Like, seriously? So anyway, it's interesting all those shows that like mean something to us though from our childhood though, you know, like some shows like don't have like the same weight as they, like Little House on the Prairie, when I still watch, reminds me of my mom. It's almost like too sad for me to watch. Every once in a while. Like Love Boat makes me think of my mom in like a happy way. Fantasy Island, I love, but it doesn't really make, even though my mom and I watched it together, it doesn't really make me think of my mom. Charlie's Angels, I always watch with my mom. I love Charlie's Angels. It doesn't really make me think of my mom. I don't know why, and I watched it almost every day after school, but Three's Company, that reminds me of my mom. I think because like I would come home from school and like I would watch an episode. It was always on like Channel 4 in Indiana, which is like, I don't even think it exists anymore. It was this local access station out of Bloomington, and Three's Company would be on, and I watched it. I watched so many episodes of Three's Company. Actually, Three's Company kind of reminds me a little bit of Golden Girls. But I've seen so many episodes of Three's Company. I've probably seen every episode of Three's Company. I've seen every episode of Roseanne. Charlie's Angels, like they started recasting it a lot. Jacqueline Smith was always my favorite. Farrah I loved, but Jacqueline Smith was always my favorite on that. And Kelly Garrett, oh my god, I loved her so much. But that show doesn't really remind me of my mom either. Like the Waltons, Little House on the Prairie, Christmas specials. Roseanne reminds me of my mom. My mom and I would watch talk shows a lot too. Like Phil Donahue, my mom loved Phil Donahue back in the day, Oprah. Yeah, so it's interesting like what shows and stuff. Movies, like it's like the first things that come to mind with my mom, like movies, like The Way We Were, she loved that movie, but also this movie with Geraldine Page that was based on a Truman Capote short story, and it was called like The Christmas Visitor or The Christmas Gift or something, Memories or whatever, and it was where he goes to visit his aunt at Christmas time and she makes fruitcake. And she looks out in the window and it's like cold outside and she goes, oh my, it's fruitcake weather. It's like my mom used to say that. She loved, I mean, we never really ate fruitcake, but it's the scene where Geraldine Page from Trip to Bountiful, I love that movie so much. And my mom loved that movie too. If you've never seen Trip to Bountiful, oh my god, I gotta look and see if that's on Tubi. If it's on Tubi and I missed it in my list, I will die. It's literally one of my favorite movies of life. It has that song in it, that softly and tenderly Jesus is calling. Love that song. Rebecca De Mornay is in it. Oh my god, it's so good. If you guys have never seen Trip to Bountiful, watch it today. Trip to... Ah! 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 Now, I'm going to have to save that till later in the summer when people forget that I said that movie was on there. I should probably edit this part out. Oh my god, oh my god. Softly and tenderly, Jesus is calling. Such a fantastic movie. But anyway, the Geraldine Page movie about Truman Capote when he's like a little boy, it was like a true story that he wrote called The Christmas Memory or Christmas Visitor or something. And she looks out the window and she goes, oh my, it's fruitcake weather, because she would make these fruitcakes, and so it's them in the kitchen, this dog's running around the floor, and she's got to make these fruitcakes, and she sends them to like the president and everything. It's the cutest show, and my mom loved that when I was growing up. I should look it up and see what it's called. Geraldine Page, which by the way, she won an Academy Award for Trip to Bountiful. I probably already have it on my list, and I didn't even know it. Geraldine Page, Christmas. Christmas memory. Here it is, right here. Here she is. Narrator Truman Capote. It was released in 1966. You can watch it. It probably says Tubi. Doesn't say where you can watch it. Is Christmas Memory based on a true story? So it may be a surprise to many to learn that Capote wrote 3 holiday stories: A Christmas Memory, One Christmas, and The Thanksgiving Visitor. The stories are autobiographical, inspired by his childhood among mother's relatives in Monroeville, Alabama, where he had been sent as a toddler after his parents' divorce, which is also how he comes to be Dill in To Kill a Mockingbird. If you didn't know, Truman Capote is Dill in To Kill a Mockingbird, because she was Harper Lee and Truman Capote were childhood friends. Oh, it's his cousin, is what it is. So this is on Amazon. Where is this? The description. That's my put Be Still My Heart. I just ordered the DVD and I'm so excited to find it. I know Christmas Memory by heart. I swear to God, if they put, oh my God, it's my favorite Christmas movie somebody put. Okay, these were reviews. I want to see the synopsis for it. It doesn't say any. Well, you can buy the DVD, I guess, on Amazon if you really need to. The largely autobiographical story, which is set in the 1930s, describes a period in the lives of the 7-year-old narrator and an elderly woman who is his distant cousin and best friend. I thought it was his aunt. The woman was Nanny Falk, elder sister of the household where Capote's wayward parents deposited him as a young boy. Nanny, whom everyone called Sook, was thought to be developmentally disabled, but Capote later wrote a friend, I had an elderly cousin, the woman in my story, A Christmas Memory, who was a genius. The evocative narrative focuses on country life, friendship, and the joy of giving during the Christmas season, and also gently yet poignantly touches on loneliness and loss. Now a holiday classic, A Christmas Memory has been broadcast, recorded, filmed, and staged multiple times in award-winning productions. Narrated by an unnamed 7-year-old boy who is addressed as Buddy by his older cousin, A Christmas Memory is about the narrator's relationship with his older unnamed female cousin, to whom he refers throughout the story only as my friend. In later adaptations, she is called Sook. Buddy and his cousin, who is eccentric and childlike, live in a house with other relatives who are authoritarian and stern. Oh, I remember that. They come in and she looks real like she's in trouble or something when they come in the kitchen, and have a dog named Queenie. Oh my God, I remember the dog now, Queenie, because she starts clapping and dancing with the dog, and then the relatives come in, the aunts, and they're real mean to her. The family is very poor, but Buddy looks forward to Christmas every year nonetheless, and he and his elderly cousin save their pennies for this occasion. Every year at Christmas time, Buddy and his friend collect pecans, and buy other ingredients to make fruit cakes. Although set during Prohibition, this includes whiskey, which they buy from a scary but ultimately friendly bootlegger named Ha Ha Jones. Oh, I forgot about that. They send the cakes to acquaintances they have met only once or twice, and to people they've never met at all, like President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. This year, after the two have finished an elaborate 4-day production and making fruitcakes, the elderly cousin decides to celebrate by finishing off the remaining whiskey in the bottle. This is where they must be dancing with the dog. This leads to the two of them becoming giddy drunk, and the older cousin being severely reprimanded by angry relatives for letting the younger cousin imbibe. She runs off to her room crying, but Buddy follows and comforts her with thoughts of Christmas rituals. The next day, Buddy and his friend go to a faraway grove, which the elderly cousin has proclaimed the best place by far to chop down Christmas trees. They manage to chop and carry home a large and beautiful tree, despite the arduousness of the trek. I remember her saying to him later, she was like, I should never have let you do that, Buddy. Hey, how are you? They spend the following days making decorations for the tree and presenting presents for the relatives, Queenie and each other. Buddy and the older cousin keep their gifts to each other a secret, and although Buddy knows that his friend desperately wishes she could afford to get him a bike, he assumes his friend has made him a kite, as she has every year. He has made her a kite too. Come Christmas morning, the two of them are up at the crack of dawn, anxious to open their presents. Buddy is extremely disappointed, having received the rather dismal gifts of old hand-me-downs and a subscription to a religious magazine. His friend has gotten the somewhat better gifts of oranges and hand-knitted scarves. Queenie gets a bone, as she does every year. Then they exchange their joyful presents to each other, the two kites, and Buddy's friend tells him that the kite he made is her favorite gift that year. In a beautiful hidden meadow, they fly the kites that day in the clear winter sky while eating the older cousin's Christmas oranges. The elderly cousin thinks of this as heaven and says that God in heaven must be like this. In their last Christmas together, the following year, the boy is sent to military school. I don't know what. And although Buddy and his friend keep up a constant correspondence, this is unable to last because his elderly cousin suffers more and more the ravages of old age and slips into dementia. Soon she is unable to remember who Buddy is. And not long after, she passes away. As Buddy says later, and when that happens, I know it. Oh, I forgot about this. How could I forget about this? I read this in my mom's eulogy. God, this is so weird that I went down this path today. God, I didn't think I'd be crying in this vlog, but I read this into my mom's eulogy because I talked all about movies that she loved. And he says at the very end of the movie, when she passes away, and when that happens, I know it. A message chain so merely confirms a piece of news some secret vein had already received, severing me from an irreplaceable part of myself, letting it loose like a kite on a broken string. That is why, walking across the school campus on this particular December morning, I keep searching the sky, as if I expected to see, rather like hearts, a lost pair of kites hurrying towards heaven. It's such a beautiful story. Well, I guess my mom visited me today, and I did not expect that. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm the cult leader today. I don't know. I did not expect that today at all. God. On a beautiful day. It's so funny when you think about crying, right? Like what moves you emotionally. It's like, I remember I had this friend of mine that used to say to me, if I can't cry about it, it never meant anything to me to begin with. And I think she's so right about that. You know, it's like, I don't read that, it makes me sad. I read that and I get emotional because I think of what the people in my life have meant to me. And I'm so grateful for that. You know, I'm so grateful for the experience that I had with people and to write such beautiful words about somebody, you know. We all deserve to have such beautiful things said about us, don't you think? I think each and every one of us. Even those haters and stalkers out there. Maybe make them a little kinder, I don't know. Feels good to have nice things said about us. I think sometimes we wait, though, until it's too late to say those things about people, you know? I don't know. With my mom and I, we always told each other how we felt, and I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful that we always told one another how we felt and how much we meant to each other. What a way to end April, huh? Woo! Okay, well, I said this in my Peterisms video today, but I'll say it over here. I am ready for not watching that Christmas show. That'll get me too sad, but I'll watch that at Christmas time. We'll do that as a Christmas movie together at Christmas time. You guys can remind me when I can't think of anything to watch for Christmas. You can say, what about that show that you cried about in that vlog? But I'm ready for the pool to open starting tomorrow. We're counting down to the pool. Oh my God, how many days? I haven't even looked on here in a while. How many days do we have? Oh wait, hold on a second. 30 days. Can you believe it? Oh, I want to answer this really, really quick before I get off here because somebody asked this in the vlog and every once in a while somebody asks it. And they said, why do you sometimes end the vlog saying happy birthday Lena? Except they said happy birthday Elena. So it must have, it was cute the way you asked it. But, so it must have sounded like I said, but it's L-A-I-N-A, okay? So the short of it is, I'll make it real quick because I feel like everybody already knows it. A couple years ago, we went on a couple's trip for our friend Jason, Melissa's husband, for his 50th birthday. And we were all in Florida, and we had like these sections at this Encore Day pool or whatever it was, I can't remember. But anyway, and so I was in the pool, and there were these people that were talking, and they had these hats on. They had these trucker hats that were made, and on the trucker hats it said, "Happy Birthday, Lena," L-A-I-N-A. Well, I was like towards like it was at the end of the day, and I was like towards like the stairs of the pool, and I'd been talking to somebody, and then they left, and so I saw on the chair they had all these hats, right? Well, this woman kept on like saying, "Lena, Lena." Well, this girl that had the hat on, she like looked over at the pool, something like this. And she was like, "Yeah," and she was like, "Lena, Lena." And so this girl that was sitting on like the couch, the section, I said, "Oh my God, I love those hats. It's our friend's birthday too this week, and we're here for," and she's like, "Oh, that's what we're here for too, if we're here for her birthday." And I said, "I love that you made those hats. Like, I wish I had thought of that." And she goes, "Do you want one?" And I said, "Oh my God, I would love it." And so that day, like on the vlog or on the drama video or whatever, I wore the hat, and I wore it, and I said, "Happy birthday, Lena." And it's become kind of like this joke. Troy used to like say it all the time. He'd say it like on the Vloggerinos group, "Happy birthday, Lena," and in the comment sections and stuff. And so I just kind of started saying it every once in a while, and that's where the "Happy birthday, Lena" comes from. It so cracks me up that there was this woman out there whose birthday it was the same weekend of Jason's, and she's become like this thing that I say on videos, and she doesn't even know probably that I even exist, and her name is Lena. So wherever you are out there, Lena, happy birthday, Lena. But I think your birthday is, I think it was like August or September. I think it's Jason's birthday. I can't remember. But anyway, so that's where "Happy Birthday, Lena" comes from. Okay, I'm going to get off here. I hope that you guys are having May, countdown to the pool. It's going to be sitting on the porch every day. I can't wait for it. We made it through April. I vlogged every day of April. I had so much fun doing it. But listen, we'll do our best in May too. And I know that you guys like the longer vlogs, so I'm going to try to keep them a little bit longer. And yeah, so anyway, I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing, what is today? Tuesday. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you, and I have 30 seconds until the battery, or until the timer goes off at the 30-minute mark, and so I want to say, because right now we're at 29, 39, if you add them all up together, you'll figure it out. Anyway, so I just want to say, be kinder to one another, love one another a little bit more, reach out and let somebody know how much they mean to you. You might be giving them some hope and making them feel better. I love you guys so much. Happy birthday, Lena. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Happy May. Love you. I'll see you then. Bye. Love ya.